This episode of the podcast is brought to you by finally getting your first kiss. But unfortunately, it's the kiss of death. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Roll the Credits, the podcast, the only podcast that makes you cry.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Frank. And today...
We're weeping.
We are sad boys. We are going to talk about films that genuinely, truly make us cry. I have been notorious for...
Yeah. You're an avid crier in films.
Not a crier in films, but I always just love movies that make me feel like garbage. I love movies that make me sad. I like movies that make me feel somber and just depressed. I don't know why. Maybe it's a mental thing.
We're not going to look into it, though.
Maybe I should see a therapist.
No, you don't need to.
Yeah, I'm fine. I don't know. I try to stay away from like a movie that made me cry because of like an animal dies or something, because I'm like, that's a little like superficial crying. Like I kind of went more of like no, this movie is making me cry because
emotions. Yeah,
like true, real, deep emotions. And it's also very rare when a film genuinely makes me cry.
So that's the thing. I'm a little bit of like a robot. I always joke that like I'm comfortably numb with the world. So for me, it's very hard to find a film that like one makes me cry or two anything that really makes me cry, except if it's like death or like loss or anything like that, or
cutting onions.
Fucking A, man. No, I'm actually stronger than onions.
I can't be inside the same like vicinity as an onion. Someone starts cutting an onion immediately.
Frank, look under your chair. Big bag of onions peeled.
Yeah. They are the worst. But yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I definitely like as the years have gone on, I've kind of been doing a lot of like self-exploration, and I've been getting more kind of in tune with my emotions and sort of like unpacking things.
Yeah.
So I am actually finding myself a little bit more prone to feeling emotions in a film that like the art is trying to evoke. Because for years, I mean, I never cried. I would watch anything and be like, okay, whatever, that's stupid and done. And then
it's done. I don't care.
Yeah. And it's just like, it never really truly affected me. But over the past like 6 months or so, things have started to change. So yeah. That all being said, Zach, why don't you give us the first? Do you have 5? Was this hard?
I have 4.
Yeah.
It was hard for me.
I basically have 4.
I have like 2 honorable mentions.
I have one that I'm like, I've spoken about this so many times.
Me too.
That I don't want to like dwell on it for too long, but it technically is my 5th one. So yeah, why don't you start us off with your first one?
Well, I'm just gonna start off with the one where it's like I don't want to dwell on it because I've talked about it so many times. In and of itself, like legitimately,
you can't get this out of your.
I can't, man.
That makes me cry too.
And I
actually, I didn't even think about that one.
That one
definitely makes me cry.
Yeah, like I wanna rewatch it again. But like I told my fiance about it, I was like, "Yo, you want to watch something that like makes you cry?" And she's like anxiety.
Has she not seen it?
No.
Yeah.
So when we did it for the podcast, I watched it like in the dark at 3 p.m. while nobody else was home.
Yeah.
What was it?
It hits, man.
Derek
Delgadio.
Yeah. Like, man, the last 20 minutes, like I'm sobbing, and like
it hits.
I don't do that normally for movies. So that was like the big eye opener of like, okay, something can make me like this upset.
Yeah.
But I still love that film. It's still just like a one-man play, but like I've talked about it a lot. I don't want to talk about it anymore. It made me physically like somber.
You should read the companion piece to it if you love it so much, because I almost feel like you love it more than I do.
like I'm just talking about this constantly at parties.
You talk about you. I mean, I remember when I brought it up to do it, I was like really iffy on if we should do it or not, because it's not a typical film that we would normally do. It is a one-man play.
Yeah.
With magic in it as well. Like, it's such a weird kind
sleight of hand.
Yeah, sleight of hand, and but I mean, he's just such a good storyteller, and the stories are beautiful, and emotional, and they hit. And by the end of it, I mean, yeah, you really are just a mess. But I would recommend, if you really love if you really love In and of Itself so much, then I would really recommend A Moral Man. I actually have the book. I can lend it to you if you genuinely want to read it.
I can't read, remember?
Right, yeah. You get the audiobook. A Moral Man by Derek Delgadio is a really, really good sister piece to it. Doesn't make me cry or anything, but he's just a really good storyteller, and the way he writes is just I really like him a lot. So that's a really good choice.
I'm surprised. I thought you would have picked that.
I didn't even think about it. I guess I was going more traditional narratives. I'm surprised that you did pick it again for the 80th time.
I can't shut up about it.
All right, so then I'll pick the one that I have spoken about a lot, and that is Her.
Her is one of my picks.
Her makes me fucking weep.
Wow, we are just like blowing through this episode. Well, Her is also one of my picks.
That's fine.
Like, yeah.
So, yeah, man, Her hits me in so many ways that, I mean,
I know Joaquin Phoenix, like the performance alone,
it's so good.
It's so amazing to like just
it's so genuine.
Yeah,
I think that's the thing that hits the most.
Like he feels like
a real tangible person.
Yes, like somebody that you've known for years that like is going through the shit that you're just like comforting, like calling, texting.
Feels like a best friend.
Yeah,
and Samantha, she's like so likable.
Yeah.
Even though there's no physical body there, like you genuinely almost fall in love with her yourself, even though you don't see her.
The cabin scene made me cry for happiness.
Yeah.
And then the ending when like you find out, oh my God, that made me cry just normally.
And dude, the fucking, like the way that it's written, like I've said this before about Her, but Her really is like true poetry. And like when she's talking about how she's like, she says something to the effect of, it feels like I'm reading a book.
Yeah.
And like this time that I'm reading it, like the space, I'm no longer existing in the words, but I'm existing in the spaces between the words. And like that's, she's in like this kind of transitional space. Spike Jonze.
Yeah. Or when
the
too,
way
like,
that he wrote that movie.
I
mean, and he like doesn't do a lot of films. He's got like 3 or 4 movies under his belt. He needs to make more movies because this is so good. All of his movies are so good.
Yeah, like this is a reason why, like the way that like Her hit people, like that's a reason why to make more movies.
Yeah.
Like the scene too that I think about a lot is like when Joaquin Phoenix's character like
Theodore.
Theodore. When
My
he goes,
middle name.
When he goes to the birthday party for like his niece and like puts in like the earpiece so then that way she can hear Samantha too, and Samantha is like actually making like a genuine connection with this child.
I know.
It's like, oh my God, it's so adorable. like you can't make this stuff up.
No, and I mean it's such a it is a hipster movie. Like, for
absolutely.
Sure. But like I don't give a shit. Like the color palette of the film is so beautiful. The music really elevates it. I think all the time about the scene where he's playing the ukulele and she starts singing the Moon song, and it's just like this real connection that is happening between these people, and you're watching this love story like slowly bloom into something. And again, it's so unique because there's every other romance movie ever for the most part is like it's 2 people.
Yeah.
And this is not. This is a person and an AI and a voice. And then when she hires the escort to bring in that person, that feels weird.
Yes.
When you actually have like a physical person now being Samantha. So good.
Choke me with the cat.
That movie's fucking heartbreaking. The cat.
Choke me with the cat.
The cat scene's weird.
Yeah.
I wish that almost wasn't in it because I feel like it's
almost like the ruining piece to this film.
Like it would be a flawless movie, but like that piece is so strange to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love Her. It makes me cry literally every time. So I'll keep going then since you
kind of we did one of mine too.
So I wanted to talk about Toy Story 3.
Oh, okay.
Toy Story 3 hits. and I'm disappointed that they went on with a 4.
Yeah, I honestly did not think that we needed. I still have not seen the 4th one.
4 is, I mean, I'll be honest, it's still a pretty good movie. Like it is honestly pretty solid, but like 3 was such a perfect send off, and you know, Toy Story 3 hits probably us, maybe differently than people who are older or younger. We literally kind of grew up with those characters, and we were kind of becoming the age of Andy as the films were being made.
I know, it's crazy because like when Toy Story 1 came out, like we were kids, and then Toy Story 2, he was like probably like around like 15, so it's like it's getting to that age of like I don't play with toys a lot, but I still can play with toys a lot. Where it's like, oh, he wants to like give away his toys a little bit, and then 3, I think he's going off to college.
And then there's that he ends up giving his all of the toys to the neighbor girl across the street, and it's like, okay, now it's your turn to play with them, and like now it's your turn to kind of have the experiences that I have. And man, it fucking hits.
I know,
and it is so sad to watch like the childhood be like, the childhood is now done, and I'm giving my childhood now to you, and now you have to, and like in theory, it's like you have to now grow up with them, and then you hand it down to somebody else, and like there's kind of this endless loop of just giving it, hand-me-downs. But man, when I remember watching Toy Story 3 at my cousin's house, and I was a fucking mess. I was a mess.
I know, like it's a very sad ending. I didn't even think about it too, because like I'm thinking about it now, and I'm like, oh my god, that ending is just like it's so heartbreaking, because it's like it's like you now have these adventures, like go, like you're young enough to have these adventures with them now. It's like, I've had my time with you, I love you guys, but like I have to move on. And it's like, oh,
it's hard,
like for a kids movie, come on, man.
I know, but it is.
And I think that's also why like I can't bring myself to watch the 4th one, because like it capped off like everything.
The 4th one, again, though, it is pretty fun, and it is like it is decent. I mean, it's just as good as the other ones, truthfully. Like, it's not, I wouldn't really say that it's lesser than, or anything other than the original trilogy, but it just felt so strange to be like, why? Like, it almost felt like a money grab.
Yeah, like was the new girl like in it? Like, did Andy come back into it? Like,
no, not that I remember. I don't remember Andy. The whole thing was like Sporky.
Yeah, like that's like the big thing that I saw about it.
He was it ended up being like she made him. There is a girl in it, but I don't even remember if it's like the little girl that Andy gave her all the toys. I don't, honestly, dude. It was, I saw it like maybe 2 years ago.
Okay.
I don't really remember it nearly as much as the other 3. But the original trilogy is just, all of them are so good. And then, I mean, it was such a perfect ending. So yeah, Toy Story 3 really truly does make me cry.
Keeping it in Disney.
Nice.
2009, Peter Docter's Up. The first 20 minutes of the film.
Tough.
Listen, like
Tough.
I've never ever, like, maybe like how we did last episode, Prince of Egypt. Like, I've never seen a Disney film like as dark as this. Like the first 20 minutes of like actually seeing like the old man like go through life, like kind of being like a dorky kid, and then finding his wife, and then like them buying a house together, and them doing like all these things and going on like the picnics, and then like them getting old and going up that hill that they've been going up to, and it's harder to get up, and then finally like just bam, hits you. Like I don't even remember, like, does she have like cancer or something? Like,
I think she ends up getting sick. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I'm pretty sure she gets sick, and then there's just that like cut to him, I think, like in his home alone, because they oh my god, I'm getting like choked up.
I know.
They get the whole thing is like symmetry, right? So it's like they have her side and his side is, I think, squares, and hers are like ovals, and they have like their chair, and his chair is like this more square chair, and then hers is the oval chair, and all the picture frames are oval, and his are all squares and rectangles. And then, I'm pretty sure there's just like that moment where it cuts to like him sitting in the chair, and all of a sudden she's not there.
Yeah.
And then you realize that she's gone.
The goosebumps right now, man. Like,
it's heavy.
It's nuts, because like you would never think.
And then the rest of the movie
is so happy.
Never makes you feel that way.
It's so like child wonder friendly, like. And, like, the rest of the movie is, like, really, really cool, like, really nice and happy, and, like, it gets you back to, like, a full circle of, like, that feel-good moment.
Yeah.
But it's like, why did we need to get that first like 15 minutes of this thing?
Because you need to understand who
Death.
the old man is.
Yeah,
you need to
like-
understand why he is the way that he is.
And like, I get that, but like, man, for a Disney movie, it's so rough. And like, for kids to experience this,
And I wonder how a child who's for the first time sitting there watching it would take that.
like, I think it's smart though to put that as like the first 15 minutes, and then the rest of the movie be like such a normal Disney film.
Yeah.
Like, because
Because you kind of forget about it.
yeah, like if you ended on that note, like kids would be like just crying, breaking things, like disaster. But
Yeah.
like, yeah, like I guess it was smart to put it like first thing, so you don't really remember it by the
Yeah.
end of it. But man, it's heavy. Like there are some times where it's like I just go and watch like that portion
to
of
cry?
the film. Yeah, just to cry.
Okay. So I wanted to talk about Portrait of a Lady on Fire.
Ah,
Portrait of a Lady on Fire genuinely does make me cry.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, the ending where she's looking at the painting
yes.
and she sees the book with the number on
Mm-hmm.
the page. It hurts, man.
Yeah, the love story there is like
It's
really
such a,
genuine.
again, it's like a real blossoming love story, and you have this woman who is supposed to be getting kind of like married off,
Mm-hmm.
and she ends up having this moment of a summer, I guess, whatever it is, over the course of her getting her portrait painted.
Yeah.
And they fall in love, and then they have this really beautiful kind of relationship, but they know that they can't be together. So that kind of hurts from the beginning because it's like, that this almost isn't going to end well.
Yeah, like their time is short.
Yeah, and it's kind of like a comet, right? It's like this thing that is going to blaze really hard, really bright, really quickly, and then just die out.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that it's coming, but it still hits so hard. Kind of like in real life,
Yeah.
And like when she's sitting there across looking at her when they see each other. Actually, I don't think she even notices her. Yeah. So the painter notices Anne Louise, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she sees her across at the what is it? The opera.
Yeah.
And she's like the music is just swelling, and I mean she starts crying. But for me, what really makes me cry is that moment of seeing the portrait painted and like that page number, because that was you were there in that room with them when that happened, and then to see that piece of artwork and then being like, hey, like I still think about you, like you're still in my thoughts, and like a painting that is now in this museum that is being displayed for an art show is you. Like, you're one of the main staples.
Yeah, like you'll always be this.
Yeah, it was just, it's perfect.
Yeah. Last one for me. I'm actually really surprised that we haven't done this yet. 2019's Noah Bachman?
Noah Bachman.
The Marriage Story?
I didn't really care for Marriage Story.
Really?
Yeah.
I really liked it. I didn't think that I was gonna like it at first, but like there's like a few points like in the film where it's like it's just so heavy. Like I forget their names, but like
Adam Driver.
Yeah, Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson's like characters in it of just like the first couple of minutes where it's like they're telling these tales of like, what they love about each other. Like what they know about each other. And it's like, okay, there's like genuine love there. Like the small little things where it's like, oh, like he likes his haircut, like cut this certain way. And like, she always likes to be right, but like can't take any criticism. So I do it in a way that she knows that she's heard. It's like small stuff like that. And then like when they actually get to the point where it's like, their marriage is breaking up and like they have that intense fight like in the apartment, where it's like,
oh, and he punches the wall.
Yeah, which is kind of funny, but then like he like breaks it down by like, saying like, I wish you were dead. I wish I wouldn't have to like worry about this situation.
Yeah.
And then like breaks down on his knees, like holding her, and is like, I didn't mean that. Like I'm hurt.
Yeah.
And like all of the stuff that's going on with like the lawyers and everything in the film. And then by the end of it, like, there is this nice moment because like there is a child involved, and like, when it comes to divorces and everything like that, like the child gets like split up between like so many different ways, like holidays, birthdays, like days that you're on with your mom, days that you're on with your dad. And then, I think it was like Halloween, like
Yeah,
it
it
ends
was.
on.
Yep.
And like, you get to the point where it's like, oh, like, it's your day, like he should go home with you. And then Scarlett Johansson is like, no, I think like, he kind of wants to like stay with you tonight.
Yeah.
And it's like that beautiful moment where it's like, it just gets me, where it's like, okay, they understand that they can't be together, but like they worked it out.
Yeah.
And that, like, for whatever reason, that gets me. I don't know why.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe I just like wasn't in the right headspace or something when I watched Marriage Story. But I remember kind of being like,
Like, I don't think it's
they were
like,
getting a divorce.
yeah, no, it's an hour and a half.
Been there, done that. Not divorced, but I'm a child of divorce.
No,
So
no, you've been divorced yourself like 3 times. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's when it came out, everybody was talking about it, and like,
Yeah.
I didn't want it to get to the point of like Forrest Gump
Overhyped,
Titanic, where it's
Yeah.
like it's overhyped, and then I just don't see it.
yeah.
But I think I caught it like in a sweet spot where it's like, I didn't think it was like amazing, but I think it was still good.
Yeah. Okay, so I still have 2 choices. So I guess I'll do mine, and then you can hop into maybe an honorable mention or
Yeah.
2. So I don't know if you've ever even heard of this film, seen this movie, Pieces of a Woman.
No.
Shia LaBeouf. The first like 30 minutes is like one continuous take, and it's basically about a woman. I don't remember who the actress is, but Shia LaBeouf's wife in the film. She's pregnant and she's having like a home birth. So they have a what is that called? Like
Like
what is it called? A something mother?
Oh crap! I know what it's called
Yeah.
too. Like,
Whatever. Like
Yeah.
when it's kind of like a home nurse essentially, and she's basically trying to not be in the hospital. They're gonna do it in home, like kind of in the bathtub, and you're starting off with them. They're in their apartment together, and then the baby starts coming, and she the midwife.
Yes.
That's what
Yes.
it's called. The midwife comes over, but I guess the midwife actually wasn't available because she ends up going, I think, into labor early. So the midwife wasn't available. So then there was like a backup midwife. So then this woman shows up, and she's like guiding her through the pregnancy. And again, it's all like one continuous take, and it's really, really like beautifully shot and super intense. And the baby dies.
oh fuck!
The baby, yeah. And like then the rest of the film is like a lawsuit because it's like this midwife, is she responsible for this baby's death? Is she not? And like there's a whole thing about like then okay, like the effects of this woman who now she gave birth to this child, and then the baby ended up dying. So like the emotional trauma that had on her. But I mean, almost like uncut gems level of stress in that first like half hour, where I literally had my hands on my head, and I was like grabbing my hair because like they play you a little bit where it's like something sort of seems off with the baby when it's born, and then the midwife is like, let me check her out. Oh, okay, she's fine. She steps away, and then it happens again, and then you find out the baby dies. It hits, and it's hard, and it's heavy, and I mean, how can you not cry?
That's nuts.
It's really, really a powerful, powerful opening scene, and just really, really well shot, and the acting is brilliant, and it absolutely makes me cry.
Damn.
Honorable mention.
Yeah, follow that up. I don't want to talk about it. Like, that's why I put it as an honorable mention. But like the ending to Call Me by Your Name.
I was thinking about that movie, and it doesn't make me cry.
It made me like.
It makes you sad.
Yeah, like I think I teared up, but like nothing like fully came out. But it is like it's funny because it's like the same idea of like Portrait of a Lady on Fire, where it's like this love that like burns super bright and then dies out because it can't be.
Right, and because Armie Hammer's a cannibal.
Yeah, I mean, you do what you gotta do, I guess, to be a person. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's fucking weird, I guess.
Yeah, he's a weird guy.
The other one that I had was it wasn't like it was such like a top contender, but I couldn't put it in because it's not a movie; it's from a TV show. When I was a kid, and like even now, like the episode in Pokemon.
Oh God.
Yeah, when Ash releases like Butterfree back into the wild is like the saddest moment, like to the point where it's like I've seen like where there's like a kid's like storybook and it like shows that same scene and like I just bawl from that. But like it was nuts. Like that episode just being like, okay, well, the Butterfrees have like a certain lifespan where it's like they have to mate and like find like a suitor, otherwise like they die early, which is really already heavy for like a Pokemon thing.
Yeah.
And then it's like literally 15 minutes of Ash deciding like, do I let him be free or do I keep him with like all of my Pokemon? And like he finally decides like, they find like this mountain area where like all of them are like supposed to come, and that's like their mating ritual is to like meet at this area, and like they're releasing like their pollen and everything, so like that way they know. And like he releases him, and like Old Yeller almost like situation or whatever, I don't know, the thing where it's like, go on, get out of here.
Can't you see I don't like you? Can't you see I don't want you, you big dumb animal?
Yeah, but like the moment
you big dumb butterfly.
of like Butterfree like just looking back and then being like, thank you, and then going off and then finding someone, and then like Ash just bawling, and it's like,
yeah,
what the fuck, man? We're doing Pokemon. Like it's just supposed to be fun.
Yeah, it hits.
Yeah.
Okay. So my last pick and then two honorable mentions are my last pick is a movie that I haven't watched in a good amount of time. I've seen it a handful of times, and I don't know. I feel like this movie kind of gets like people may roll their eyes a little bit because it feels a little Oscar baity. But I still think it hits hard, which is 7 Pounds with Will Smith. Have you ever seen 7 Pounds?
No, that's not the slavery movie, is it?
No.
Oh.
That's 7 Years a Slave.
Ah. I'm way off.
And that's not Will Smith.
Oh, but he did just do it.
He just came out with a movie, like literally a few weeks ago that just came out with him that I don't know, but I don't care enough to see it. Anyway, 7 Pounds. I almost don't want to ruin it for you, but I guess I will a little bit. So sorry, but if you haven't seen 7 Pounds, spoilers. I would recommend watching it though. He is a guy who his wife, he ends up like getting into a car accident and his wife dies in the car, and he basically is just trying to recover from that and try to like make himself feel better. So he's essentially trying to like save people. And the way that he goes about it is, and again, like it's not realistic by any means, but like the metaphor is there where like this one guy that he meets that he thinks like deserves, this guy's like blind. So Will Smith ends up like dying in the movie, and then he like donates his eyes to the guy, and then like that guy can now see. And like I don't think that in theory that would actually work that way, but but he ends up falling in love with this girl, and it's kind of like this romance story. And you have no idea that like this is what he's doing. You have no clue. And she has like a bad heart. And by the end of it, they're like a perfect match, of course.
Yeah.
And he gives her the heart, and he like kills himself essentially, and then gives her the heart, and she goes on forever. And it's kind of like this beautiful moment of like, oh, it's his heart inside of her. They had this beautiful love story, so he's always going to be there.
Yeah.
Just really, it just gets me every time. Really, really beautiful film, I think. Maybe not the most realistic or anything, but you put your, little bit of suspension of disbelief a little bit, and you can, I think you can get behind it.
Okay.
Honorable mention, Sound of Metal.
Yeah. It's funny. I didn't even think of Sound of Metal.
Sound of Metal, while not actually making me cry, the heaviness is there enough too. I can see people crying from it.
When you can hear like his ex-girlfriend like playing the piano for the first time in like years.
Yeah, and like it sounds like awful.
Yes.
And then the Iron Giant.
Yeah, man. Fuck. Why didn't I think of the Iron Giant? You stay, I go.
Yeah, it's
man.
It hits you. If you haven't seen The Iron Giant, please do.
For Christmas next year, I'm gonna get you the giant screw and just watch you like cry.
It's really fucking sad. It hits. It's powerful, and it's also like it really is a great movie.
That also has like that really good 90s animation.
Yeah, it does. Yep. Love The Iron Giant. Makes me cry every time. And those are my picks for movies that made me cry. And those are your picks for movies that make you cry. And a television show.
Yeah, gotta have something.
Good mix of animation, some live action. We do it all here.
I can even juggle.
Recommendation.
Yeah, that's you this time.
I have been getting into physical health lately. And not only physical, but mental.
Ouija boards. I like it.
So I'm becoming a psychic. No. So this guy is not by any means like underground. You may have even seen him. But I wanted to recommend Andrew Huberman. I think he's technically like a neuroscientist. He's all about like the brain, but he also does a lot of stuff on the physical body as well. But yeah, I mean, I write. Yeah. So something that I've always struggled with when it came to writing was writing for extended period of time. Like I could pretty much only write for like an hour, maybe an hour and a half. Like that would be pushing it until I would get like very antsy and have to get up and like walk away. And he kind of explains like how the brain works and how you can like change things about how you perceive things and how you can trick your body and mind into like doing things and enjoying difficult work and hard work and looking at it as a reward instead of like a means to an end, essentially. And after kind of like following the steps that he was saying about waking up at a certain time and getting sunlight in your eyes is like the first thing you do, I went from like being able to write like an hour and a half max to writing like 4 hours just continuously and like not feeling fatigued. And then again, he also does a lot of stuff for like physical health, for like exercising and testosterone and all these things. The dude is, and like he's really good at explaining as well. Like he's like super hyper smart, but he's also, a lot of times guys who are like hyper smart don't really maybe have like the best social skills.
Yeah.
But he's like super down to earth and he can explain it to us, the layman, and not have us feel like complete idiots and be like, what is he talking about? What are we doing? He's just really educated, and he's helped me sleep better at night because that's something that I also struggle with, is like getting a solid 8 hours. He's just really good. He's really smart. I would highly recommend Andrew Huberman. He's got a podcast. He's got a YouTube channel. He's been on Joe Rogan a bunch of times. So he's just really good.
Okay, cool.
I would highly recommend him. So we are stepping away from our Catholic roots on this one.
Okay.
And we are going to be talking about a movie that I recently saw and was blown away by. And I'm going to encourage you, Zach, do not watch the trailer prior to watching the movie.
Okay.
Just watch the movie. And I don't think you've seen this movie. I hope not anyway. We're going to be doing a Korean film.
Yay.
Called
I like those.
I Saw the Devil.
Oh, I have seen this.
Fuck.
I like this movie,
It's
though.
really good.
Yeah, I like this movie.
So we're going to talk about it. I was blown away by it. So we're going to talk about I Saw the Devil. So look forward to that. Zach, take us out.
All right, guys. Thank you for listening. Now, Frank, roll the credits.